Welcome back to the show, and you're tuned into the Nafisa Dango Show with myself, Nafisa Dango, enticing you this afternoon to, of course, give back in many directions. And we had Sister Atia Ganche and Sister Fatima Bam from the Balloon Foundation talking about the event. And it's all about empowerment and upliftment this afternoon. Talking about that, our next guest is from Islamic Relief South Africa. And let me just tell you a little bit about them. Since 1984, Islamic Relief has transformed the lives of over 117 million people by responding to disasters, rebuilding lives, and preparing people in case that disaster strikes. They save lives before they are lost. In addition to providing disaster and emergency response, they also promote sustainable economic and social development by working with local communities, regardless of race, religion, or gender. Their mission is to inspire and enable people to respond rapidly to disasters and fight poverty through their Islamic values, expertise, and global reach. And this afternoon, joining me on the line, I have one of our representatives from Islamic Relief South Africa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Brother Abdul Aleem, how are you?
Yes. I'm good, alhamdulillah. Good. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. I needed to say that. That's why I didn't introduce your name first. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this afternoon. It's always a pleasure having to chat to you about the most amazing things that you are doing to help people out there.
Subhanallah, Allah subhanallah, from each and every one of us, what we do, and from our donors, I sit from them, as well as the dua of those who are being, the most vulnerable of our communities as well.
Right. Today, of course, the 25th of November marks the start of 15 days of activism against gender-based violence. Tell us a little bit about the campaign that you've started regarding this.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursaleen, sayyidina wa nabiyyina wa maulana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum once again. It's wonderful to be on your program on this Wednesday afternoon, midweek. People looking forward to the weekend already. And I know we're going to a very crazy time, as it usually is, which is known as the silly season. But unfortunately, I think we need to talk about a topic that we shouldn't even be talking about. Something that should not even be addressed, because which shouldn't be prevalent within our community, but it is prevalent. So we need to talk about it. So us as Islamic Relief, we once again partaking in this global campaign against gender-based violence. And I say this gender-based violence because many of the times it is our sisters, our mothers, our daughters that is going through all of this. And as part of its strategy to promote gender justice from an Islamic faith perspective, that is what we are doing. And in this campaign, obviously we know it's 16 days of activism. It was initiated in 1991, and it starts today. MashaAllah, starts today. So, it is also just, I think, about 6 weeks left of this Gregorian year. And I think many people want to say, we wish that this year 2020 is something of the past because of all the challenges that we have faced. But it is International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women, which ends on the 10th of December. And I think that in itself speaks to our sisters. And we as males, speak to myself, we are there to protect, support, and uplift our sisters at every juncture that we possibly can, and not oppress, hurt, and belittle them at every opportunity. So I think very much a role that we need to understand within society as well.
And I think during this COVID period, it was brought to light even more because the situation got a lot more worse than what it was before that.
Indeed. And people they have these many reasons why is that, everybody's at home, we're in the same space, we're in one another's faces, and they use all these reasons as why this takes place. But subhanAllah, you are married to your partner, or you have a daughter, or you have your mother, whoever it is, it's not by our choice many times, but when we were married, it was by our choice. And this is some of the people we need respect. For one thing, is that wife of ours is the mother of our children. She's a daughter to somebody. She's a sister to somebody. We would never like to see what happens to what's happening to the wives. We wouldn't want to see our daughters go through it. as a brother, you wouldn't want to see your sister go through it. As a father, you don't want to see your daughter go through it. So why would we be subjecting our sisters and our wives through this? And I want to reiterate that, we look at this and we look at the social cycle trauma that this goes through, because it includes sexual violence, psychological abuse, financial exploitation, human trafficking, and you name it. The whole host of things, and so many things that get mentioned. And we say this year and no further. Tomorrow we say this year and no further. And next month we will say exactly the same thing. But it is about an intention that we all need to make, that we will eradicate this from our society, that we work to empower our women to speak out when this does happen. And we will work to a platform to bring gender equality into our societies.
Yes, and how are you assisting with this campaign? Because, the thing is, I think it's important and imperative to educate people that they are allowed to stand up for themselves, and there are support structures out there and they're not alone. Because what happens is, and this is what I was saying earlier to one of our guests, a lot of the times the issue is just ignored, and, these women feel that if they just put it under the mat, it's forgotten about and maybe it will go away. But that's not the case in many instances.
That is true. And the reality is that also gender-based violence is not only for people, ordinary people. It happens when we look at people who are stars in this world, like actors and so forth. It happens in their space. And when we think about this, we realize that anybody can be prone to this. It falls into any category. It doesn't ask for category. It doesn't ask for an income bracket. It asks for nothing like that. Right, that's the first thing that we need to be very clear about. It doesn't even ask for a religious background. It doesn't ask for a racial background. So this happens across the board. And that affects particularly women and children, or those called gender-based violence. Most of the time, it affects our women and our children. And again, our children are these beautiful garments that have been given to us, that we can adore and that we can protect and we can take care of, and we fail at that. So we find, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that we find all these things under human trafficking, under harassment. We even see things like digital forms of it, which is cyberbullying, something unheard of, unprecedented. We hear this word unprecedented. It's unheard of that it would be cyberbullying. And then we have things like revenge porn. What does all this mean? It only means that people feel less of themselves, people feel belittled, and it takes away the dignity of individuals.
Right.
And I think when we look at this, these 16 days has been highlighted that we need to take cognizance of it. But it's not only a 16-day problem. It's a problem that is here for 12 months of the year, 365 days of the year. And as you've mentioned, when we went through lockdown, it was exacerbated because people blamed lockdown for what is happening in the homes. All lockdown has done has highlighted the challenges that are within the homes of our society.
Exactly. Tell me, how do you assist in with this campaign? What is it that Islamic Relief is doing to bring light and of course change the situations that people are finding themselves in as far as GBV is concerned?
Very, very important, valuable question. So today, we are hosting, as of today, events and on Friday the 27th in Roodepoort and Innerdale in conjunction with the city of Johannesburg and UNHCR to others to educate and empower women. I think that's the first step. People need to feel empowered. People need to know there's a platform that we can speak on. People know that there's people that we can go to. So we take this opportunity to explain to women how to obtain, for example, work permits, other documentation to avoid, and I think, human trafficking that is happening, and how easy it is for women and children to fall victim to this.
Right.
So we believe that these empowerment discussions are absolute importance, because it's so easy when you go as an immigrant into a country, into another country, you almost become very vulnerable, and people tend to try and take advantage. So we give them those platforms. And to end the campaign, we'll be hosting a policy dialogue on the 10th of December, where policymakers from government level will address the attendees on relevant issues faced, from a GBV perspective. That will be taking place on the 10th of December, also in Johannesburg. That is how Islamic Relief is partaking, educating, and uplifting our women folk in our society.
I think that's so phenomenal because this is something that we've been talking about for a while. People are actually doing things in their communities as such, as far as GBV is concerned, but it's having to take it to that next level, which is government, because they need to understand that it's going to have to start from there in order for people to take this situation seriously. And I'm so relieved to actually hear that you're getting involved from that perspective, because that's going to definitely shed some light from a government point of view where things and better action can be taken as far as the situation is concerned.
Absolutely. And I think, people will ask, why are these 16 days of GBV? Why is it vital? What is the reason for this? Why do we need this? This is the kind of conversations that people would have. But I think when you look at the stats and you understand what is taking place, like 1 in 3 women experience gender-based violence in their lifetime, and 200 million girls worldwide have experienced genital mutilation. So if you think about that as a stat, my gosh, it's already alarming in itself.
It sure is. And I mean, I think it's about educating, and I was speaking to this to my guest earlier as well, it's about educating men and women about their rights. And when it comes to GBV, it's about also educating men about, should we say, the respect levels that need to be drawn. Lifting the hand is not the way to solve the solution.
Absolutely. That's never been, from our team perspective, from our religion, it's never been. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never raised his hand to anybody except in jihad when he had to defend Islam. Never to a servant, somebody who's serving, never to his wives, never to his children, never raised a hand. So where does the sunnah come from that we need to raise our hands? SubhanAllah, we are the ambassadors of Islam, and we need to go forward on this, on the teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we have this opportunity. Mashallah, we have this opportunity. I mean, there's so many things we can speak about when you look at gender-based violence. But all we need to do, look at the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, how does my life compare to that? And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the best who is good to his wives. To his wives. I mean, I understand, why would he have said that if that wasn't a primary focus? And talk about oppression. Oppression doesn't just only refer to, racial oppression or oppression based on economic or standing. It also refers to when you oppress those who are you are leading as a husband, perhaps. That also refers to oppression. When we oppress our wives and our children, that also refers to oppression. So we must be clear about it. So Islamic Relief, mashallah, we are again at the forefront of this here in South Africa, globally as well. And
I want to commend you on that, because the thing is, like I said, a lot of people have been speaking about this, but nobody's taken that step to take it one step higher, should we say, to a higher authority as such, so people can take this very seriously and start creating those differences within those communities. So firstly, we want to commend you on that. But what other plans do you have for the forthcoming year? Because we know you're always avidly involved in making such differences and creating this major empowerment and upliftment with people.
The plan for the year is that, as I said, part of it is right now, and this will be a springboard for us to facilitate, the whole notion of justice, gender-based justice, gender justice within our society. We look at child protection. Those are the core things of Islamic Relief humanitarian work, not only in South Africa, but across the globe. So those are things that will drive us to assist wherever we can. And I know what, subhanAllah, I must mention this. There are other organizations that do sterling work as well. And we can't lose sight of it. As we can't get to everybody. We can't see to everybody. And those other organizations, I think as a collective, we get to many people. So I'm saying to the community, go onto our website, go into our offices. With you in Johannesburg and going into Greenside, our offices are there. With you in Durban, people, going to Durban, you can go to the Overport, the Berea area, and our offices are there. Or maybe somebody's streaming here in Cape Town, and they can hear into our offices in Lansdowne, and have partakers in discussion. Go onto our website, the www.islamic-relief.org.za, and find out more information on the website. Give us a call on 0800 111 898, and so see how you can get involved. Maybe you have something to share. Maybe you have some time that you can give as a volunteer. SubhanAllah, that this time is a time for us to invest. And besides the gender-based violence, we are looking at orphan children. And I think in that orphan children, there are young girls that's also being abused, also being, so we must, this is an opportunity to draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to follow in the footsteps of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We have this prime opportunity, so let's make use of it. Speak to us, go onto our website, give us a call on our toll-free number, and you can engage with us. I really appreciate the time that we have on air to be speaking to your listeners and telling them about our various campaigns. And this one is maybe something that we need to talk about, something that really ails within our community. It is something that, everybody speaks about, but it gets highlighted over the next 16 days. And we as ambassadors, we have the opportunity to make that difference. And inshallah, we will. So with your dua, the dua of the community and involvement of the community, we'll be able to make the difference.
Inshallah, Ameen. We're wishing you nothing but the best going forward. What message would you like to leave us with this afternoon?
I think the important message is for each and every one is to look at ourselves. We need to look into the mirror and ask, what's my contribution to GBV, for an example? And you can say, but I don't beat anybody, I don't do anything, I'm fine, I'm okay. But maybe we know a sister that's in need of assistance. Maybe we know there's a brother that's busy, that needs assistance as well. And the assistance is, you need to raise your hands, you need to reach out and people can assist. But if you know of it, don't turn a blind eye. Go and help that brother, go and help that sister. Because the brother's help might be a different help that he is required. And for the sister is maybe different assistance that's required for her. But we need to make that difference. And then because we as a caring community, we a loving community, we give freely. Let's give freely of ourselves in assisting our sisters at this juncture and helping them through this difficult times. It's not getting easier, as we see it's more challenging, as we've mentioned the lockdown, the impact of lockdown. But also, I want to say to my brothers and our sisters out there, inshallah, following the footsteps of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, take from his example and let us implement and inculcate that into our lives and everything that we do. And let us be the torch bearers and the ambassadors of, gender justice as Islam has spoken about it. Let us be those who will protect our children as Islam has spoken about it. And we at Islamic Relief, we can only be assisting everybody where we can. And you can be part of these conversations. You can be part of of the narrative by making your contributions or getting involved as a volunteer. And you can make a difference. You're investing in your akhirah. And this will count on your scale of good deeds on the day of Qiyamah, everything that all of us are striving for. So inshallah, I hope that the listeners will bear this in mind. I hope that the listeners will act upon this in a positive manner. And, it's not always dealing with such challenging, and I would say, not positive information, but maybe a little bit negative, but to deal with this negativity and turn it into a positive and make our societies a safer place for our children, a safer place for our women, so that they can do and act as they ought to be acting in a positive manner, inshallah.
I so agree with you. And on behalf of the Salam Media team, we want to commend you for taking that stand that nobody else has done before and taking this GBV situation onto a higher level so that people can start taking the situation seriously and start turning it around for the better. So we wish you nothing but the best going forward with this. You do have our entire team support behind you as far as this is concerned. And as we know, Islamic Relief is always doing a wonderful job helping empower those that are out there. Jazakallah so much, Brother Abdul Aleem Gamza, for joining us. You are the head of fund development, doing phenomenal things. And we want to just say congratulations. Allah take you from strength to strength. And we hope that you have more successes when it comes to bringing this issue to light.
Ameen, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was Brother Abdul Aleem Gamza, the head of fund development at Islamic Relief South Africa, definitely talking about something very important, making a difference as far as GBV is concerned. We're going to go for a quick break. Stay with us.